Sierrad sits low and flat against the land, a town shaped by soil and seasons rather than ambition. The air smells of damp wood, manure and smoke from coal fires that never quite burn clean. In the early morning, frost clings to the ground, crunching under boots. Carts move slowly along rutted roads. Church bells cut through the cold, their sound heavy and familiar, marking time that never seems to move forward. This is Congress Poland at the turn of the century. Polish in language and custom, Russian in rule. Soldiers are visible reminders of it. Uniforms at corners, inspections at stations, authority that feels close and permanent. Opportunities are narrow. Decisions are inherited. A man's future is often decided before he understands he has one. Henryk Wojciechowski is born here in January 1898. He is born into a world already closing in. His father, Valenti, knows this town intimately. The limits of its work, the silence that follows questions asked too loudly, the way life folds in on itself, generation after generation. He hears the stories everyone hears, letters read aloud in kitchens, rumours carried by travellers, whispered names of places that feel unreal. America, New York, Chicago, they sound like inventions, but people leave and they do not come back. By the time Henrik is 3, the decision has been made. It is not dramatic. It is not announced. It is a quiet understanding that staying means accepting the slow suffocation of possibility. The family gathers what little they can carry and leaves Sierrads behind. The church, the fields, the graves, all of it shrinking into memory as the road pulls them away. The port is chaos. The ship waits like an iron animal at the dock, breathing smoke, groaning as cargo and people are forced into its belly. Below deck the air is thick with sweat, sickness and fear. Bodies are packed tightly together. Luggage is wedged wherever it will fit. The floor is always damp. The smell of salt mixes with waste and unwashed clothing. Henrik does not understand where they are going. He understands only motion. The roll of the ship, the slap of waves against metal, the low, constant noise that never stops. He hears languages he cannot place, cries at night, prayers whispered into the dark. Days blur together, time loses shape. When the ship finally slows, the world changes again. New York rises out of smoke and water, tall, loud, overwhelming. The harbour stinks of oil, fish and industry. Whistles scream, cranes move endlessly. At Ellis Island, lines form and reform. Names that are spoken, misheard, shortened, reshaped. Valenti becomes William. Maria becomes Mary. The family is processed, stamped and pushed forward. There is no welcome, only movement. They go north to Buffalo, where winter is brutal and work is constant. Factories run day and night. The air vibrates with machinery. Smoke coats the streets. English is learned quickly, or not at all. Henrik grows up sharp and observant, absorbing the rhythms of a city that does not slow down for anyone. Then, once again they move. Chicago is bigger, harsher, louder. A city of meat, steel, rail lines and ambition stripped of sentiment. The streets are crowded. The noise never stops. This is not a place that asks who you were, only what you can become. Henrik begins to change his name. Earl. It fits better here. It sounds harder, cleaner, American. The city takes notice of him and slowly, without asking, begins to shape him in return. Chicago does not announce the change. It absorbs it. In January 1920, the law dries the country overnight. Bars shutter their front doors. Brewery windows go dark. Signs come down quietly, as if the city expects them to go back up again in the morning. But the thirst does not leave. It deepens. The air feels the same. Smoke, coal, heat, but the rhythm shifts. Conversations lower, doors close faster, eyes linger longer. What was once open now moves sideways. For Earl Weiss, prohibition does not feel like a moral moment. It feels like a logistical one. Alcohol does not disappear. It reroutes. Chicago sits perfectly placed for this new reality. To the north, Canada remains wet. Whiskey still flows legally through Ontario. Beer still moves across borders that were never designed to stop volume, only people. Lake Michigan becomes a corridor. Dark, wide, difficult to police. Boats move at night. Trucks roll south before dawn. Rail lines blur origin and destination. The city is no longer just hungry, it is supplied. Summer nights stretch long along the lake. The water holds heat, releasing it slowly as boats slide in and out of shadow. Dock workers look the other way. Warehouse doors open briefly, then shut. The city breathes alcohol without ever acknowledging it. Earl watches how quickly new roles appear. Drivers, lookouts, storefronts that sell nothing and move everything. The work is simple at first. Carrying, watching, waiting. Payment is cash, immediate, folded small enough to fit a pocket. No questions asked. Honest work still exists, but it cannot compete with speed. Factory shifts pay by the hour. Prohibition pays by the night. Winter sharpens the contrast. Wind off the lake cuts through coats and skin alike. Streets empty early. Cold forces people indoors, into rooms where bottles pass hand to hand, where warmth is selective. These spaces feel insulated from the weather and from consequence. Belonging means heat, exclusion means cold. Earl learns this quickly. Polish syllables soften. Identity becomes adjustable, useful. Prohibition does not just criminalize alcohol. It rewards flexibility. Dino Banyan moves comfortably through this environment. He understands supply lines, territory, timing. He knows which neighbourhoods drink what and who controls the routes. Around him, the north side begins to coalesce, not as an army but as an infrastructure. Crime no longer feels incidental. It feels organised. Chicago's geography encourages this confidence. The lake hides movement. The railways multiply exits. Borders exist, but enforcement feels abstract, distant. Alcohol arrives faster than the law can follow it. By summer, the city hums late into the night. Music spills from apartments, cars idle with engines running. The smell of beer returns, faint but unmistakable. Prohibition has not cleaned the city. It has rearranged it. Earl steps deeper into this rearrangement without ceremony. Each job leads naturally to the next. The money is better. The hours are shorter. The work rewards awareness, not patience. By the time the seasons turn again, he no longer sees prohibition as a law. He sees it as a condition, like weather. Something you move through, something you adapt to. Chicago has gone dry on paper. In practice, it has never been wetter. And Earl Weiss is exactly where the flow begins to favour him. By 1924, Earl Weiss is no longer moving toward power. He is standing inside it. Prohibition money flows steadily now. Routes are established, territories are understood. Meetings end when Weiss decides they are finished. He does not raise his voice. He does not need to. His presence settles rooms faster than argument ever could. At the same time, his body begins to fail him in ways he does not discuss. Breath shortens unexpectedly. Pain returns no matter how he shifts or rests. Nights stop restoring him. Doctors speak in careful circles, offering treatments without promises. Weiss listens politely and hears the silence beneath their words. Time, he understands, is no longer expandable. Instead of retreating, he accelerates. He attends meetings personally. He walks routes others avoid. He stays visible longer than is practical, not recklessly, efficiently. Planning too far ahead feels unnecessary now. Problems are addressed immediately, directly, without insulation. Winter closes in early that year. The lake wind sharpens every movement. Cold lingers in his chest. But Weiss knows where the city keeps its warmth. Upstairs rooms, back corridors, familiar bars that never fully empty. Belonging offers insulation. He does not waste it. Then Dean O'Banion is killed. The news arrives without drama. A flower shop, daylight, familiar faces. The violence is abrupt, contained, almost surgical. Weiss does not rush anywhere. He does not speak publicly. He absorbs the facts as if they are inventory. O'Banion's death lands differently because it is not chaotic. It is precise, intentional. Someone has crossed a line openly, without apology. The flower shop becomes an image Weiss cannot fully shake. The smell of cut stems, the neatness, the calm, violence entering a place designed for celebration and ritual. It signals a change in the rules. Grief does not appear as emotion. It appears as focus. Weiss steps forward without ceremony. There is no announcement, no vote. The north side adjusts naturally, almost automatically. Meetings tighten. Conversations shorten. Decisions finalise faster. What O'Banion built now demands defence. Illness sharpens Weiss's response. He does not imagine long wars or distant resolutions. He works in the present. Each action feels self-contained, complete. Consequences feel deferred, abstract. People notice how close he stands during negotiations, how little distance he keeps, how unconcerned he seems with exposure. He is not careless. He is simply no longer trading safety for longevity. Rumours spread. Some say he is fearless. Others say he has nothing left to lose. Neither is quite right. Weiss has lost interest in caution as a strategy. Summer arrives heavy and loud. Heat drains him faster now. Sweat soaks through suits. Nights stretch because sleep comes poorly. Chicago hums around him. Traffic, music, laughter, and Weiss stays awake with it, moving through spaces that feel alive, immediate. By the end of the year, Weiss is no longer just a leader. He is a constant, present, unshielded, unhurried. The city senses the shift. Allies feel steadied by it. Rivals feel something else entirely. Time is no longer stretching ahead of Earl Weiss. It is closing in behind him. By 1925, Al Capone is becoming unavoidable. His name carries weight beyond Chicago now. Money moves faster on the south side. Protection becomes systematic. Violence, when it happens, is delegated. Capone builds distance between himself and consequence. He survives by not being present. Earl Weiss does the opposite. Weiss moves openly, personally. He appears where leaders are not expected to be. He walks streets others drive through quickly. This difference does not go unnoticed. Capone understands power as insulation. Weiss understands it as momentum. The north side begins to strike back methodically. Cars are followed, routes are tested, shots are fired without spectacle. Each attack feels deliberate, almost instructional. Weiss is not trying to dominate territory. He is trying to unsettle certainty. Capone notices something else too. Weiss does not retreat after success. He does not pause. He does not consolidate quietly. He continues forward as if time itself is irrelevant. This is what alarms Capone most. In January 1925, Capone's car is ambushed on the south side. Capone survives, but the message is unmistakable. Weiss is willing to strike directly. No intermediaries, no ambiguity. It is not about profit. It is about presence. Capone begins to move more carefully. He varies routes. He changes routines. He listens more closely to warnings. This caution remains invisible to the public, but it reshapes his days. Weiss, meanwhile, grows more exposed. His illness is no secret among those close to him, though it is never discussed openly. He moves as if the future is already settled. Risk does not register as cost. He appears immune to delay. In September 1926, Weiss escalates decisively. A convoy moves through Cicero toward the Hawthorne Hotel, Capone's headquarters. The street is loud, busy, unprepared. Gunfire erupts suddenly, overwhelming, tearing through windows and walls. The attack is sustained, coordinated, relentless. Hundreds of rounds strike the building in moments. Capone is inside. He escapes through the rear, shaken but unharmed, slipping away as the assault continues. By the time the noise fades, the message has already landed. This was not an attempt to hide. It was an announcement. Chicago understands the shift immediately. This is no longer a contest of territories. It is a contest of nerve. Weiss has demonstrated that proximity does not protect Capone. Infrastructure does not guarantee safety. Capone reacts outwardly with restraint. Inwardly, the calculus changes. Weiss is not predictable. He does not behave like a man who expects to survive a long war. He behaves like someone who has removed survival from the equation entirely. That makes him dangerous in a way money cannot fix. Weiss continues to move openly after the attack. He does not disappear. He does not celebrate. He resumes routine as if nothing extraordinary has occurred. This unsettles even his allies. Chicago feels compressed now. Meetings shorten. Warnings circulate faster. Everyone understands that escalation has reached its limit. Capone does not speak publicly about Weiss. He does not need to. For the first time in years, Capone is reacting rather than shaping events. And Earl Weiss, visibly ill, increasingly exposed, seems unconcerned with what comes next. The city senses what is approaching before it happens. When momentum replaces caution, something has to give. The morning of October 11th, 1926, arrives clear and ordinary. Traffic moves steadily along State Street. Shoppers pass storefronts without hurry. Cars idle, engines ticking softly. Nothing about the day suggests it will end abruptly for anyone. Earl Weiss moves through it without disguise. He has spent the afternoon at the courthouse, visible, exposed, unconcerned. When he leaves, he is accompanied by familiar figures. Men who have walked beside him for years. They park on Superior Street and step out together, rounding the corner toward the flower shop that now serves as Northside headquarters. The space between buildings narrows, sound compresses. From an upper room in a nearby lodging house, weapons are already positioned. The angle is chosen carefully. The street below offers no cover, no warning. The first burst tears into the afternoon without prelude. Noise explodes outward, sharp, mechanical, overwhelming. Glass shatters, stone chips from the building across the street. The air fills instantly with smoke, dust, and fragments of street and storefront. Weiss is struck and driven backward by the force of it. He does not fall immediately. Momentum carries him a step further before his body gives way. Another man beside him collapses at the same instant. The violence indistinguishable, shared. Panic fractures the moment. One of Weiss's bodyguards draws his weapon and fires blindly toward the sound. In the chaos, a round strikes Weiss as he is already fallen. There is no time to recognize it. The street has become noise and motion. People scatter. Screams rise and vanish. Bullets continue to tear through the space, following movement. Those still standing run. Those already down do not. Weiss hits the pavement hard. Blood spreads quickly against the sidewalk, dark and immediate. His body does not thrash. There is no final gesture. The violence has arrived faster than thought. The sound echoes outward, then begins to fade, leaving only ringing silence behind it. The gunfire stops as abruptly as it began. When police arrive, the street is already changing back. Doors open cautiously. People emerge in fragments. The damage is visible everywhere. Shattered glass, scarred walls, abandoned hats and dropped papers. But the men responsible are gone. Weiss is beyond help. Later, speculation will follow. Who fired which shot? Whether betrayal played a role? Whether one of his own men struck the final blow? These questions will circulate endlessly, unanswered and unresolved. What remains certain is this: Earl Weiss is killed in daylight, in public without warning, exactly the way he has been living. He is buried not far from his rivals. The war continues without pause. Leadership shifts, names change, but something disappears with him. Chicago loses a figure who refused to slow down, who removed caution from the calculation, who moved as if time were no longer something to protect. Al Capone survives the war that follows. He builds an empire. He becomes legend. Weiss becomes something else, a moment when the city held its breath, a reminder that proximity is not protection. A man who lived as if tomorrow had already been spent. The street returns to its rhythm. Earl Weiss does not.